Hello, hello! Are we live? No, we're not. This video is pre-recorded because, well, mainly because of my schedule. I can show you right now that this would be a very late start for live stream. This is when I'm recording this. But also just because I think this is something that I want to fully focus on and to give you guys my, kind of full initial reactions, thoughts, things I have to say, without kind of having a conversation with live chat and loads of other ideas, kind of things overlapping. If you want to respond, feel free to use timestamps in the comments and also the description if you want to skip ahead, because I have a bit of a preface here. You know me, I like to waffle, or if you don't, hello and welcome to the channel. This would be a really weird first video of mine to watch. I really hope this is nobody's first video, but if it is, take a look around, judge for yourself. But yeah, I have a few things to say, so let's get into this. Just so that we're all on the same page, this is what's going on with my channel as of making this video. I'm hosting the FNAF-a-thon. I'm doing this whole run-up of live streams for the 10-year anniversary of Five Nights at Freddy's. See, I even added the official art from Scott Cawthon's brand new Twitter, to my channel banner. And yeah, all of these streams are happening. It's all very FNAF-y at the moment, and yeah. This right here was the first post that Scott Cawthon made. He's moved from Reddit to Twitter, and it's all been very exciting, and there's been lots of news, and essentially, although the plan has changed and my plans to cover it have changed extensively, what I can confirm, for those of you watching this as soon as it's released, which has been late, because originally this was going to release on the 4th, it released on the 5th, I was going to get out on the 5th, but it's the 6th now. I've been delayed, I've been busy, but I'm here now. I'm basically going to briefly talk about everything that is out now. If there's anything I don't mention or discuss in this video, it'll be covered when I live stream on the 7th and 8th, covering 5 Laps at Freddy's, Into the Pit, as well as VIP, My Pop Goes. Basically everything except the Joy of Creation, because that's the only thing I've actually covered so far. It's been a busy old time, but I had to change my priorities, so yeah. I'll talk about My Pop Goes when I play it, because I've already played it. If you go find out my channel, I played the free version, but I'm going to play the premium. There's also been movie announcements, which I don't have much to say about. It's just interesting to see the, practical animatronics being built, which is always very exciting. The Joy of Creation, even though it's a demo, might be the best game this franchise has ever had. If you want to see my full thoughts, I already streamed it. We can talk about that on the Discord. Again, more movie announcements, very exciting to see. I'm looking forward to VIP. Despite being set in the pizza place, it looks like an interesting story. I love a choose your own adventure. I used to do a lot of Doctor Who interactive novels when I was a kid. They were fun. Again, more creepy animatronics. But yeah, this is what we're going to be watching. Again, more movie announcements. Keep an eye on someone's account today. I think I know what that is. This is amazing, by the way. I actually haven't seen some of these, but it's like, I'm guessing this is still, what's it called? Jim Henson's Creature Shop? Just, oh, incredible. Yeah, can I just acknowledge this for a second? I shit you not. When I first saw this, my jaw dropped. Like, I'm still, like, incredible. Like, I cannot believe that this is happening. Finally, I can't believe this is a real thing, because people have been asking for Five Nights at Freddy's and Dead by Daylight for so many years. There were entire channels dedicated to making what-if videos of how exactly killers, survivors, maps, and etc. would work in Dead by Daylight. Hell, I've played Dead by Daylight. I have played Dead by Daylight maybe 3 or 4 times, like, ever. But if Five Nights at Freddy's gets added, I might just stream it. If that's something you guys want to see. I don't know if it will be that good, or if I'm the kind of stream you want to see that from, because there's probably other people who do it better, but, like, I was convinced. I was 100% convinced that this would be Fortnite, because I know they had an announcement on the 6th, today, as well. And it's like, FNAF had so many opportunities over the years to be in DBD that it just never took, and it seems like finally Scott Cawthon or whoever just listened and is actually giving us what we want, and I'm very excited, because the fact that this is real and is coming out in a year means there is so much time to speculate and theorize and predict, because the possibilities, I mean, like, I feel like if they've done this in response to fan requests, it'd be stupid not to make the killer Springtrap, but apart from that, I feel like there's a lot of possibilities. And it's, again, very, very exciting that we have an official FNAF and DBD collab. There was also an announcement from Steelwool. Again, the order of everything's changed. I really I really don't care about any and all things relating to Steel Wall, because none of their games have been that good, and they've been pretty poor, in a number of ways. I don't hate them, but let's see what this is. Let's just see, just so I know what this is and don't get it spoiled for me. Who knows? Maybe this will be cool. Maybe this will be something. But what is this? I will admit, this looks like pretty real. Like, good job on the graphics. It's very creepy. It looks like an old 80s horror film. What the hell? Secret of the Mimic. Secret of the Mimic. 2025. I have no idea what that's about. I've heard of the Mimic. I thought it was a book character, so I guess they're bringing it to life in the games now, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Secret of the Mimic. I thought the Mimic was like an endoskeleton that imitated others. I don't know what the clown thing was, or if that... It like... It's probably illusion discs or some bullshit like that. You know how it is. But yeah, that's everything so far. Something which hasn't been posted on here for some reason, if I can just get it, is this. 5 Laps at Freddy's, which is basically a kart racing game with FNAF slapped on it. And I'm honestly excited for this, because this genuinely just looks like a fun, you know, goofy spin-off to play. And I like that they're going for the angle of it being like an in-universe game. Except, like, they have to include Springtrap, and I'm worried that it's going to be like a Help Wanted thing where they overcomplicate the lore when instead they could just make a game that's fun. I also really like that they've used the rainbow from the Pizza Sim teasers. I was wondering where that was from, and I just recognized it. But yeah, it's full of references. It's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. It's by Click Team themselves. And I have to say... my only concern with this is that it's just going to be a pretty low quality game, considering that FNAF is a multi-million-dollar franchise that has, you know, at least touched the AAA realm. You know, we've had, like, PlayStation ad placements. And, like, because it looks very similar and only slightly more polished than the Faz Karts fan game, which, again, I've streamed on the channel. You can go find it. It was in a charity stream. And... you know, like I'm just hoping it's good fun and that it's not really dumb and immersed in lore, because this looks like it could be a really fun game. It doesn't need to be deep. I hope it has something a bit more unique than just being a kart game. I hope at least all the gimmicks are kind of tied into FNAF references and kind of what FNAF is. But this could be like a really fun spin-off game if they do it right. I mean, it looks pretty good. You know, graphically, it's kind of got that FNAF world vibe, like the character models, the car designs. Hopefully the gameplay's good. I think if the gameplay's good, that's all that really matters. But yeah, so that's Faz Karts, and that's everything else. One last preface before I get into the reaction. In 2018, August 8th, 2018, on the 4-year anniversary of Five Nights at Freddy's, after beating the hardest FNAF challenge, like, ever at that point, 50-20 mode in Ultimate Custom Night, Dorco finally won the bet and got Scott Cawthon to actually sit down in an interview. Scott Cawthon is an incredibly elusive man. Images of him are rare, never mind video, or audio. But what we have here is 90 whole minutes of Scott Cawthon actually just openly talking about behind-the-scenes production of the games, the process, the kind of making of. I don't know why I'm getting these random ads all the time. But, you know, all of these really interesting details and information that gave us insight into him personally and kind of, you know, the experience behind the scenes from his perspective of making the games. In my honest opinion, I think this was the peak of FNAF. This was the greatest peak of FNAF in history in terms of vibes, activity, fan content, and just general kind of wholesomeness. Again, Dorco is, and was and still is, you know, a renowned FNAF YouTuber. He was the right man for this. And actually being able to see Scott Cawthon, I guess, or, you know, hear him talk, like, it brought him to life. It made us realize how personable and kind of who he really was as a human being. And it was incredibly charming. Despite what he said, there was actually some interesting potential lore nuggets in this for theorists, and just... I absolutely adore this interview. My only regret is that it wasn't longer and there weren't more parts, because I could have done with hours of learning more, you know, bits of trivia behind the scenes, and kind of just Scott Cawthon talk about everything that had happened in those 4 years. And it was absolutely glorious. Like, this was coming off, you know, Pizza Sim and UCN, you know, two of the best games in the series, you know, the conclusion of the novel trilogy. For all its flaws, you know, it was finally over. You know, we had the logbook, you know, for better or worse. And, you know, obviously, I think Help Wanted was, again, not a thing yet. It was before the Steel Wool times, it was before the dark times, before the licensed games. And yeah, this is a gem. This is one of the most important things in FNAF's history. They're doing another one. But the last 5-6 years of FNAF has been very different to those early years. I am expecting this. I am fully expecting this to be a tepid nothing burger of, oh, wasn't that so nostalgic? Oh, wasn't that so fun? Because, if I'm being honest, like, FNAF has a real problem with being constantly fawning over itself, and tripping over itself, always looking back, looking inward. And, you know, say what you will about Dorco, I think he's a fine content creator, but he's definitely also a part of that. How could he not be? And, again, Scott Cawthon's communications with the fanbase sort of took a turn in 2021, and I'm kind of sick of him pretending that that didn't happen, but, you know, it's been a few years. I think we need to move on. But this is happening. This is a thing. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to react to it. Maybe there'll be some good out of it. I'm hoping. But, you know, the first 4 years was the original, you know, 7, 8 games, including FNAF World, plus the first books. What this is going to talk about is going to be Fazbear Fright, okay? Tales of the Pizzaplex, okay? Help Wanted 2, which exists. Security Breach, Special Delivery. Yeah, it's night and day, isn't it? Like, when you really think about what they must be talking about in this, because it's just called Interview 2.0, so I'm guessing it's going to be very similar, and it's going to be Scott Cawthon talking about, like, the behind the scenes of everything, and kind of the making of everything. But I wonder what he's going to say about all the drama, and all the controversy, and all the shit that this franchise has, like, you know, shoved at us. Or if he's just gonna ignore it, sweep it under the rug, it's probably fine. But, you know, we'll see. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna feel weird to hear Scott Cawthon talking at length again. Here we go. I will pause the video if I have comments. Hopefully this overall video isn't too long. It might be an hour and a half. But yeah, let's get into this. An interview with Scott Cawthon 2.0, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. Dorco Interview 2, take it away.
Scott, tell me what's in the box.
I think as the 10-year anniversary is upon us, I will give this as my gift to the fan base on this 10th anniversary. What's in the box is...
His voice does not sound the same as it did in 2018. Like, it's definitely a different mic, but, like, that, he sounds completely different to how I remember. This is what it does when you, like, your only main appearance is to, like, a really particular microphone. Okay, let's... Okay. Gotta say, they've upped the production. Very cool. I love the, kind of Freddy Files style they've gone with this. Oh. Shout out to the animators and the models or whoever did the renders. I don't know who you are. You're probably in the description. Again, shout out to everybody. Obviously, I don't own any of this. And no, this video is obviously not monetized because I'm using all this audio. Like, it's fine. But yeah, wow.
Mabel!
Mabel!
Hey, Mabel.
Oh.
Yeah, she's the best. What's going on, guys? Dorco back again.
It's been a
Hope you're
very long
fantastic
time
today,
since I watched a Dorco
It's
video.
the 10-year anniversary of Five
It
Nights at
is.
Freddy's. It is August the 5th, which
bit
means
hype.
if you've
Come
been
on.
looking at the list, what the official Twitter has been saying,
Yeah.
it's the interview with Scott Cawthon, everybody.
It is.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Doco, good to see you again.
Yes,
This
6
is
years
surreal.
since the last interview, right? Which is
This is
crazy. A lot of things have been happening since then, so let's go back a little bit. So the interview was August 2018. So
anniversary,
after that,
yeah.
we got Help Wanted, Special Delivery,
Yeah.
Security Breach, Help Wanted 2, Ruin DLC. So there's a lot going.
God, you know, I've never stopped to actually look at the lineup. Like, I've never looked at an image of the lineup of games we've had. Just like put that side by side with the lineup of games from 2014 to 2018. Oh my god, dude. Like, franchise has got to evolve and experiment and adapt, but holy shit. It could be worse, I guess.
On, and of course the future games as well. Yesterday, Steelwall has announced something. I don't know what it is yet because we're recording this, you know, a couple of months before.
What was it called?
Guys,
Secret of the Mimic?
Whatever it was, I hope you're very excited for it. Future Dorco,
I mean,
Into the
I'll
Pit
give
as
it a
well.
chance.
Stuff to look for. There's so much stuff to look forward to, and it's really cool that you've done like a week of exciting things for the 10-year anniversary. You know, we've never seen something like this before. 10 years.
Honestly, like, FNAF has been so dead for, like, a couple years, and it's like, suddenly we're getting a flood of content. It's like, what we're getting this week is, like, 3 years worth of content. It's like, it is so refreshing to have something other than Steelwall games and more Fazbear Fright style books. It is so refreshing, and I'm so here for it. This is what's gotten me back into FNAF, you know? Like, I've been feeling hyped for this franchise for the first time since, like, the Dorco Scott interview in 2018. Oh, I muted it. Whoops.
It's pretty crazy, right?
Man, I can't believe it's been so long since our last interview. That really seems like just it doesn't. How long did you say ago? It was 6 years ago. That's hard to believe. That's impossible to believe.
Dorco's spring body much.
I've actually got a song for you
stuff here.
that I'm gonna play.
Has he got a new room? I don't recognize his background. I think he's moved into a new room or a new house or something.
For you to celebrate the 10-year anniversary.
Okay, no, this is getting things off to a kind of an awkward start. But
Yeah, I love all the details on the desk. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
Okay.
All right.
Are you
ready?
ready?
You're gonna be performing. Wait, you're gonna be performing this yourself, or is something recorded?
I've got the harmonica right here.
Oh, a harmonica. Okay, my favorite.
I've been practicing this song for over 32 years. Okay. So, are you ready for this?
2018.
I'm
Fact
ready.
checked it. Shout out to the editor. Shout out to the editor for fact checking. Come on
now, you started this.
Right. Okay.
Let's go.
Ready? I'm really good. I'm really good.
That
was actually decent, honestly.
Now, I will admit that I couldn't actually hear that. I don't know if your thing
That's
is
funny.
cutting the audio out.
That's funny.
Well, I actually played a spell.
What?
Oh.
The spell is from 1864
Nice gaming chair.
by a wizard named Dewey Muscrewy.
What?
Okay.
That spell has now hypnotized you to tell me all the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, jeez. Now, I thought we talked about this in advance. Now, listen.
What is
this is a bad idea to start talking about lore. All right, well, here, you'll have to give me specific questions, and I'll see what I can answer for.
Okay, come on, give us your bait. Give us your bait.
But I make no promises.
I will
Scott,
fucking crack this
tell
lore.
me what's in the box.
Right, yeah, it's interesting that they led with this. Because, like, is the box, like, still a thing? Like, the box hasn't been a thing since Pizza Sim. Like, I thought we were done with that, by the time of the original interview. It's kind of, like, do people still talk about the box? I don't really interact with the fandom as much as I used to, so maybe I've missed something, but I thought we were done with this.
Wow, just direct. Just out and direct, just like that.
Yeah.
Well, look, okay. It's the 10-year anniversary, okay? And even though I like to be elusive, I like to kind of tease the fan base.
Do.
I like to...
Yeah, you do.
And I do like there to be an air of mystery about things. Sometimes I do let things go on for too long. And I understand that sometimes things become not fun anymore and things can become frustrating for theorists.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You have no idea how it feels to have that actually acknowledged by the creator. Oh my god. Sorry, I've needed to hear Scott Cawthon say this for a very long time. So he does know. Good. Just, he knows. He's always known. He just didn't, yeah. Thanks, Scott.
So, okay. I think as the 10-year anniversary is upon us, I will give this as my gift to the fan base on this 10th anniversary.
I'm not
What's in the box is...
For fuck's sake! That's twice now. That's twice I've been debated. Man just wants some answers, for real. dead ass, I don't even care. Like the box is not like important or relevant to anything. It's not a plot point. It's just it's literally a mystery box. Shout out to J.J. Abrams or something. Isn't he the one who always does mystery boxes? Anyway. Haha. Do you think there are any like little kids who are like watching this just like, oh no, like do you think there's anybody who still is like
and
that
that's
with the
about
box?
And that's it, man.
This is all a sketch. This is scripted. I'm calling it. This is scripted.
So like we've been speaking about, 10 years of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a crazy amount of time.
The video. I
can't believe we're
okay, almost 5 minutes
still
in.
here.
I'm going to start with the actual
it's
questions.
It's been such a journey. So
nice.
I just wanted to ask you, do you have a highlight
Here
moment
we go.
for the whole 10 years of Five Nights
might
at
be
Freddy's since
interesting. Let's see.
2014?
I think there have definitely been a lot of satisfying moments. Like
I'm calling it now, they're all going to be from before 2020. Like he's not going to mention anything newer than Help Wanted. I'll be impressed if he does.
Obviously, if whenever one of the new games would come out and it would be positively received, that was obviously a huge relief. You know, there's never been any goal other than just giving everybody what they were.
To be fair, even Security Breach has very positive reviews because his fan base is delusional.
Really hyped up about, because you know when you see everybody getting hyped up and getting excited, if suddenly something comes out that just is a big letdown, there's no greater fear, I think, for a game developer. So that was always satisfying and a relief. But I think the biggest highlight was probably just going to the movie theater to watch the movie when it finally came out, because
that makes a lot of sense.
You know, behind the scenes of all of the games throughout the years, and behind the scenes of all the books being written and everything else, there was always the movie. The movie was just a slow burn project, even starting as late as 2014. So that has been in the background, being, you know, progressing for almost the entirety of not almost the entirety of that first 9 years. So to be able,
that's crazy to think about. Like the movie, because I remember saying this before the movie came out. It's like, this is the last old thing we're waiting on. It's like, while everything else has been happening, the movie's been the one last thing that hasn't happened yet.
To actually go sit in the theater.
I saw a post about this as well,
and hear the reaction from everybody and hear the fans really enjoy it. That was definitely that was definitely a moment of just real happiness for me, I think.
Literally 9 years, you know, having ups and downs, you know, getting the script right as well.
Do you guys remember the
scripts
that he
so
posted?
many scripts made for the movie.
So many.
The plushies in Manhattan or something. That was one of the scripts. So
the new kids,
I can imagine how
the novel,
you know, difficult it's been, like trying to get it all done. You know, I can just imagine. Well, I can't imagine it because I'm not you, but you know, when me, Raz, and Ryan and Baz went to a premiere for it and sat down at the cinemas, and we all looked at each other at the end, and we had to like, we couldn't believe it, and we didn't even make the games. We've been there since, you know, basically day one.
I will say this, myself, Crew Player, and Nebula Nexus 03, the three of us met up in real life for the first time personally to watch the FNAF movie in a cinema in my country. Like, the three of us, we finally met up. Their names are Livy and Ethan, I think that's public. But yeah, me, Livy, and Ethan, they posted on their community tabs about it, and I didn't because I'm a scumbag. But all of us, I don't think any of us have been here since day one, but like most of us are veterans, and I gotta say, even though I think the movie was a perfect average 6 out of 10 in terms of quality, like a perfect average of all things FNAF, good, bad, and ugly, like, finally getting there, finally seeing FNAF in the biggest, most mainstream media like it has ever achieved with my friends. But that was magical. That was special.
But we all said, like, imagine how Scott's feeling right now, you know, just sitting down and seeing it actually, you know, on the big screen. It must be a crazy feeling.
Yeah, and now that I've been through the process, you know, I can tell you it's a miracle that any movie gets made, just being through that process, just how many wheels have to be turning at the same time.
Making movies is hard.
and how many things, and even though this process took a long time for me, you know, Hollywood works at just blazing speed where there's 100 things happening at the same time, and it's a miracle if these things get coordinated. And sometimes things don't work out, but sometimes they do. On the day that I was driving to New Orleans and the shooting was supposed to start the next day, on that drive, I was on the phone. It was like a 5-hour drive from where I was. I was on the phone the entire time trying to finish contracts and finish negotiating points because there were still open items with there were still things that needed to be.
Here for. This is what I'm watching the interview for. This is the meat. This is the juicy stuff. Okay, guys. This right here, this behind the scenes trivia, delicious. The juice. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna stop being weird and get back to it. Making sure the recording's still going. It'd be a shame if this like stopped. Then miss my first reactions.
Be resolved with Universal, Blumhouse, the Actors Guild, the Writing Guild. There were just Louisiana. There were all of these things.
Louisiana,
any
the
one
state.
of them not being settled properly would mean we couldn't start filming. And all of those conversations were happening at the same time, and all of them depended on one.
The drone age has begun in the large-scale military online action game War Thunder. Experience completely new game.
One of the other ones.
I'm sorry, my ad block is not working. It literally stopped working a couple days ago, and I'm looking into a solution, but I've been busy, and I swear it is so hard to get a good one. I might just edit these out if I can.
And so that was a very stressful drive, but all of them depended on one of the other ones. And so that was a very stressful drive, but that's just the way that Hollywood works. There's a million things happening at once. It depended on one of the other ones. And so that was a very stressful drive, but that's just the way that Hollywood works. There's a million things happening at once. It was definitely a whirlwind, but to see all of those pieces come into place, it was pretty remarkable. And yeah, like you were saying, just all of the scripts, starting just with 2015, there were a couple of deals that weren't very good that I'm very fortunate didn't pan out. But then whenever I was with Warner Brothers briefly, that was a good deal, and I was very, very grateful to have that. But even that, whenever the stars seemed to have aligned, things just didn't work out there either. And so I was really fortunate to meet up with Jason Blum and get to have that deal with Blumhouse. They had a lot of faith in the project, and they were following my lead on a lot of things, sometimes to a fault, because lots of times I would throw things out and want to start over. But, they were with me the whole journey. They were with me, and they believed in the vision. And everybody just had the fans at heart. That's all anybody wanted to do. Everybody was just making sure that every part of the movie would be something that the fan base would look at and recognize or relate to or connect with.
Yeah, I will say the FNAF movie did these things excellently, and I think Blumhouse was the best studio to choose for it. The fact they also got the Creature Shop to make the animatronics, perfect. It's like the problems with the FNAF movie are purely in the script and maybe in a little bit of the kind of production, but like the sets and the costumes and the acting and the references, just, make a good story and prioritize over fan service, please. Always.
And I think in the end we were able to accomplish that.
Mostly.
I'm just really happy with that.
All right, it was good.
And I think we landed with just the perfect cast, which again, that almost didn't happen either. There were a couple of instances where someone else was about to get a part, and then something would happen that would make that not work out, and then someone better would step in. And I've said this to my contacts at Blumhouse numerous times just over this last 6 months, even since the movie came out, thinking, aren't we glad that we got like Josh Hutcherson for this role? Like, isn't it great we had Elizabeth Lail for this role? Isn't it awesome we had Matthew Lillard for this role? Isn't it great we ended up with Piper Rubio for this role?
Dude, shout out to Piper Rubio for being like a not only tolerable but good like child actor. Like, but every person they were all excellent.
Every single person we ended up with was just absolutely perfect
child acting
in those slots,
tough.
And everybody was just a delight to work with. Once again, since I'm new to kind of the film industry, I got to talk to people about their other experiences on other projects, and it can be really scary because usually, from what I understand, every production has one member of the cast or one person on staff or just one person that causes problems or
that people don't
something like that. We didn't have anything like that. Nothing like that. Everybody was just phenomenal. They were just a joy to work with, and getting to go to filming
and you
was,
can tell
was really fun.
when you watch
so
one scene.
It was a really fun experience, and in the end, I'm just happy that the fans were happy with it. Now, that's not to say the film didn't have it's places where it could have been improved, and we're all, me and Emma and Jason Blum, we're definitely chat about that, and looking to make sure the second movie is a step up and an improvement.
Do not rush the second movie.
Lots of good things to look forward to, I think.
Movie.
Yeah,
Do not
it's
rush the second
exciting.
movie.
Yeah, you're right about the fan reaction. The fans absolutely loved it. Like, we all can't wait for the next movie.
We can wait.
Exciting.
We can wait.
And I'm so glad,
Do not rush
it's
the
actually
script.
happening as well.
Do not rush the script.
Exciting times. So yeah, you said that you've got a highlight of the 10 years of FNAF. If you could go back and change one thing in those 10 years, do you have anything that you would change?
That's a good
You can't
question.
say the box.
I love the use of the original font.
No,
and the dots
the one thing I would change, I wish I could go back and have one more shot at FNAF World. I really
Oh my god, FNAF World mentioned!
I know it still would definitely be the oddball in the series, no doubt. And maybe it would still have been a poor decision in general, but there were just a lot of bad decisions made at the beginning of that project that doomed it from the start. Like, I was making it with mobile in mind, so it was a really slow resolution. I was thinking about it as a game on the phones. I tried to make the whole game on one frame.
One frame.
That just means I wasn't allowing it to be as big as it could have been. I was trying to cram it all together for my own convenience. There were just several decisions that were made that really hindered that. And also, I was in a rush because I was getting a little arrogant, thinking that, hey, anything I make is going to be gold, and I definitely ate some humble pie with that really quick, and I learned that is not the case. And so I've tried to be very careful not make that mistake again after.
Say what you will about Scott Cawthon, but I don't think he's ever repeated the mistake he made with FNAF World. Like, he's never personally rushed a game or produced something that was of low quality. I think the only poor qualities we see in the more recent games are either not his fault, because someone else is doing that, or story and writing, which is always a bit subjective anyways. And also, there's a lot to be said about the bad side of the writing of the earlier games, even the first, 4, maybe 3? But yeah, FNAF World remake? I'm throwing it out there. I would play that. That would be very cool. I would love to see a remake of FNAF World. Update 3? It's never happening, guys. It's never happening.
But yeah, if I could go back and change one thing, I wish I could maybe work with a different developer and just really make it a high resolution game, get in some really good graphics, maybe get someone else to help me with those graphics, and it could have been a good game. Who knows? Maybe somewhere down the line, if I get really antsy about it and have a lot of free time on my hands, maybe FNAF 2 or FNAF World 2 might be a thing.
Oh! I will say, as much as I want to hype that up, he did say in 2018, once he finishes making games himself, he wants to have some time, make his own RPG, not even necessarily FNAF related, but just take his time to make a really good one. The thing is, he's been so busy with the movie and managing everything else that never panned out. And we did get Freddy in Space 2, which was alright, but never say never, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say that, you could still get a different company to do a FNAF World game.
They could just do an RPG and just call it something else, like FNAF Adventure. And it could be a spiritual successor. That would be cool. If they could make a good game with better graphics, less RNG gameplay, a better maybe progression. There's all kinds of things. I still think FNAF World is great, and I put it in S tier on my tier list, because honestly, my problems with it are all nitpicks. It's actually a really fun game, despite its flaws, because the version I've been playing is the one that came out after improvements, not the rushed one that came out and released for $10. But there's a lot of things you could, do to elevate FNAF World.
It's not over yet. I think I've said this to you before. I love FNAF World. I think it is so underrated.
It was.
And I always say
it's not anymore.
FNAF World is underrated. I love it so much. There's just a charm to it. I really do. And I know you don't like it, but I absolutely love it, man. I really
it does
do.
have charm.
I love everything about
Especially
it.
If I had allowed myself to work on it for one more year, just like really double its development cycle and let it be a high res game, I bet it would have been. I bet it would have really been something. But like I said, who knows? Maybe for the sequel someday.
Let's move on to Steelwall.
That would be crazy.
The amazing Steelwall Studios.
Yay.
That was the next game after Ultimate Custom Night.
Oh, here we
Wanted.
go.
One of my favourite games in VR. I absolutely loved it. What has it been like
still
working with
never
Steelwall?
played this in VR.
Were you
Maybe one
nervous
day.
about it? Because I know
There's better
it's
VR
a big
games.
thing to, you know, give a company your baby basically and let them,
This was the first,
you know,
licensed
do what
game.
you've been doing for the past 5 years. How was it for the first time letting someone else work on FNAF?
I was really nervous about it. I was really nervous. You know, I went several years still doing it by myself, even after I had the financial ability to pay other people. Again, I wasn't in that
voice
mentality
acting,
of being able to do that. So even though I could have done that, I was still doing things just all by myself, all the way through Pizzeria Simulator.
Yeah.
But by then it was I knew that it was getting too much for me. I knew that I had to find another partner for it, and I was scared of that because, you know, there are stories all over the internet available about just games that went completely wrong because of games being mismanaged in the hands of, you know, development companies. And I'm sure that all of their pitches on the surface would have sounded the same, but I really got lucky. For that reason, I really feel like I got lucky, because whereas I probably could have accidentally ended up with a company that did botch something, I didn't. I think I really honestly believe that I landed with the best, just one of the best development companies. They've been just a pleasure to work with, and they've done a really great job.
He knows more than me,
you know,
guys. He does know
this
more
last
than
one
me.
they did, Ruin, I thought it was just so much fun. And I think that might be one of the I think that might be my favorite thing that they've made was Ruin. And the things that they have planned, which I'm not going to talk about right here, but the things that they have planned are really exciting too. So yeah, I've been really happy. It's been a really good experience. Well, I'll tell you, on Help Wanted, I was going to throw in, I'm happy with how Help Wanted came out, because at the time, and I don't have this anymore. I don't have a VR setup anymore. But whenever the first Help Wanted came out, I did have a VR setup. So I was able to beta test, and of course I was leading.
Sorry, it's like every time I remember that Help Wanted 2 is a real title of a real game, like I have to like pause for a second mentally, because it's just like, what world are we in where they just decided, let's just make a whole separate game that's just Help Wanted, but again, it's so strange. Apparently it's better though, like there's better gameplay, but I've seen a few bits and pieces. It literally is more of the same, which is fair enough. It's just, why not just update the original game? I don't know. There's probably technical reasons. It's just really strange.
The charge to want to beta test my own games, I got into the Funtime Auditorium and I noped out of it. I took the headset off and I immediately got on the phone with Steelwall and said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to test it. You test it. You're going to test it. You'll find someone else to test it.
Oh, wait. Oh. Oh no. Oh, that explains so much. Oh no. So this is why Steelwall's games are so buggy on release. Because Scott Cawthon won't test them. They're too scary. Who the fuck tested Security Breach? I want to know now. I'm like, were there any beta testers for that game? Help Wanted, a little bit. I wasn't there. I heard it was also really buggy on release, but they patched it like quicker. I don't know, but like, who the fuck tested Steelwall on release? Genuinely,
I didn't even get jump scared by Foxy.
I
was
can't
just
believe
in
that
there
anyone
in the
did.
darkness, and I knew I wasn't going to do it. And I never played it again. And I never played Help Wanted, and I never played Help Wanted 2 either. And I'm not going to.
People need to understand it though, right? Because in the past, like when I've obviously done videos on Help Wanted 1 and 2, I get a comment saying like, it's not that scary.
Say that again when you
overreacting,
played
it's
it
not
yourself.
that bad. But you don't know until you've literally put on
It's
the headset,
different.
right?
Yeah.
It's
I can tell.
completely different, you know, just watching it from a screen compared to having the actual headset on. It's terrifying.
Even in flat mode, some of the levels are pretty scary because they have really good atmosphere, tension, and then obviously jump scares to like sound design, graphics. I think though the only ones that really are on the level of terrifying, up with like FNAF 4, maybe Pizza Sim, are the Curse of Dreadbear levels. I'm talking hallway, Dreadbear, all of the Danger Keep Out levels. Like those are scary, man. Like those are tense. Hallway is possibly the scariest thing this franchise has ever produced, at least in terms of games. I don't know.
Yeah, completely different
Possibly.
experience.
My other question, Glitch Trap is one of my favourite characters
Such
in
a
FNAF
stupid
now. I
name.
absolutely love Glitch Trap.
Malhair was
what are
so
your
much
thoughts
better.
on Glitch Trap as a whole, with the development of Help Wanted?
I love the character, and I know that this is kind of one of the places where I know that there's a little bit of a divide with maybe me and the fan base, or maybe just within the fan base, because I always lean sci-fi. I have a tendency to lean sci-fi, even though I try to come back into the roots of the supernatural instead. But I can't help my inclinations to lean sci-fi. So anything that involves possession of AI or possession of machines or circuitry, that I love that sort of thing. So I love the idea of Glitch Trap. I'm not a huge fan of the name, and here's the way that these things happen. Okay, and this happened with Burn Trap too. Whenever I'm in the planning phase with Steel Wool, we come up with temporary names for these characters. Whenever we're doing the pre-production document, I'll say, oh, well, he's glitchy. We'll call him Glitch Trap. Oh yeah, he's Burn. We'll just call him Burn Trap. But then those names get embedded in the source code because they use those temporary names also. And once they're in the source code, and once someone finds them in the source code, that's it. Like that's the canon name now.
That is
and there's nothing
so
I can do about it.
unbelievably
and
stupid.
hopefully we're learning our lessons going forward to maybe find I don't know, to just hone in on a better process there, because yes, I love the character, not a huge fan of the name, but it is what it is for now,
Okay. Like, I just want to unpack this. So, Glitch Trap. People don't like the character because it's sci-fi? Is that a thing? I thought maybe people would not like the character because it's a poorly written, ill-defined, canonical mess of, contradictory lore clues. I thought that would be the issue rather than it being vaguely sci-fi. FNAF has always been vaguely sci-fi since the very first game, since day one. I think the problem, which is most evident in Sister Location, is not FNAF being sci-fi, but FNAF being futuristic. I absolutely adore the idea of Remnant and the experiment and, a secret facility for William Afton to kind of conduct all this, alchemy, where he has, physics and chemistry interacting with magic, basically. And he has all these, chemicals and substances and, molten metal and kind of, all the stuff in Frights about emotional energy, agony, and obviously, Frights also leans very hard into the supernatural compared to anything else in FNAF. But having, a gigantic bunker where everything is chrome and it's, the technology of the animatronics is, decades ahead of present day, never mind the 1980s, that bit just breaks suspension of belief. I mean, even in FNAF 2, they had facial recognition, which was really pushing it. It's it's hard to believe that, because in the real world, facial recognition didn't exist till, the 2010s, 2000s. Even in the 80s, the military would have barely had more than, experimental, prototypes. And it's the fact that it's just in a pizzeria chain is ridiculous. And I think the futuristic sci-fi is the issue, really. Unless you have a futuristic FNAF game, I guess, but but we live in a world where the author of FNAF has no power over the canon name of not one, but two of the flagship characters from the last two games. That's pretty interesting. It's very easy to assume that because he's the author of FNAF and he created it all, Scott Cawthon has complete control over what is or isn't canon and kind of what the story is. But in actual reality, the fan base has control. The people who were there early, the majority. I remember there was a bit of a name war about Glitch Trap for a while, but then, oh, it's in the source code. That means it's 100% canon, guys, and it's factual. Well, actually, no it isn't. So maybe people are finally going to catch up with what I've been saying since 2019, 2020. It's that third party, well, not third party, but information outside of the actual story, words from the author, source code, take it with a grain of salt. That is not 100% canon. it's kind of hilarious because this thing about temporary names is something that goes all the way back to the beginning as well. And you might say, but the very first FNAF game, those 4 character names, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, those were temporary names. He said this in the first interview. Those were temporary names that he was going to change later and then never did because he got attached to them. So, yeah. Stop getting fixated on specific details in the source code and interviews. Maybe just look at the actual intended experience for what it is, because that's the story, not some detail packed away that you weren't even, supposed to see. Dear FNAF fans. Yeah, I think I've made my point. Let's go.
It's the name.
I love Glitch Trap's name.
It's a stupid fucking name, alright? You can't just put trap on the end of every character that's a yellow bunny. It is the stupidest thing. Malhair is so much better. It's a pun, it's clever, it links to the character's kind of identity, the story, the kind of narrative.
Can you think of a name, like, on the spot, like what you would want to call him or not?
Malhair.
Oh, I have no idea. But you know what? A good example is Mexus, from Ruin. Now, that was a character where...
Who?
Even in just my design of the game, I thought that through, and I came up with that.
Sorry, I need to know what he's talking about. What the hell is a Mexus? It's from Ruin, so I'm not gonna know. Evildoer. What the actual fuck am I looking at? It's another... Why is bro's jawline so... What on earth? Look at bro's jaw... Bro's got that, like, Sigma Riz. That's ridiculous. But it's also like a rabbit that looks... This doesn't even look like something out of Five Nights at Freddy's. Is this canon? Gregory, that's Security Breach, right? Also known as the Entity. Yeah, the DLC Ruin. Designed to keep the Mimic hidden. The Vanny Mask? Do you know, I don't even care. I'm not digging this up. I don't care. It's a weird computer
and I'm really happy
AI
with it.
thing.
I really like that name. It's a really cool name. But now, see, if
Wait, what does it stand for, though? What the hell? What does it stand for? It's an acronym. What does it stand for? If it's an acronym, what does it stand for? What does it stand for? You're telling me its main name is an acronym that we don't actually have an acronym for? That it must be explained somewhere in the game. I am putting way too much faith in Steel Wall and Scott Cawthon. Is it? Does no one know? What? What? How could it be a great name if you don't even know what it's an acronym of? I'm probably called this. He's probably about to say in the video. That is so incredibly stupid. Honestly, it's almost funny. Just another classic, FNAF blunder of not writing the story and leaving fans to do the writing for them. Okay.
One of those ready to fire off, I might have thought up something like, I don't know, Purple Trap or AI Trap or just something temporary, and then that would have been the can name. That would have been so much worse than Mexus. So
after Help Wanted, we got Security Breach. Were you happy with the release of Security Breach when it first came out?
Security Breach. There's
please.
a really big story behind that. That was definitely a challenging period, and a lot of things. A lot of things just didn't align up.
Yeah, it fucking was.
Perfectly for that, and there were a lot of reasons for that. I mean, obviously, I hear lots of studios and things kind of blame COVID for stuff, but there is a reason for that. COVID took well-structured work systems and suddenly scattered them and expected the work to continue to flow.
Why the game
and it just doesn't work that way. From my understanding, I'm pretty sure most, if not every, member of Steel Wool got scattered across the country and were trying to just carry on with the workflow. And it was just really difficult. I think that's really the only example when my idea of how a game was going to go was misaligned with how things were going with Steel Wool, and I had a specific story for this in mind. Okay, for Security Breach, I really did. I had a very specific story in mind, and it is very different than the one that got in the game. And I think a part of that is the way that I conveyed that to Steel Wool. because what I was trying to do was I was trying to tell Steel Wool to do specific things throughout the game, put specific items in specific places, have specific characters do certain things, meanwhile not telling them what the story plot was. Because in my head, I was thinking, okay, when people find this, they will connect this to this to this, and it will all be revealed. And I thought I could do that without telling Steel Wool the story plot.
So he admits it. This is something we already knew from Dorko's interview with the Steel Wool directors. I can't remember. I did watch it, and I remember them commenting, especially with the Burn Trap ending, the after ending, what the fuck it's called. Like, they basically got sent a load of stuff, and they were just like, what is this? I don't know. Well, we got orders are orders. Put it in. And that's why the communication of the story was so dog shit.
That didn't work out
but
very
is there
well
more
because
to
they
it?
got all of these pieces and they thought it was their job to connect them in a way
This
that
is
made
exactly
sense.
what I already
and so
thought,
really what you ended
but
up
it's
having
nice to have it
were
confirmed.
the same pieces but telling completely different stories. And since I was trying to kind of tell a specific story with mine that went a certain direction, they were taking pieces I didn't fully understand and
I
trying
get
to
it.
craft a story out of them.
Oh
And
my
again,
god, it's
I don't
FNAF 4 again. It's FNAF 4 but worse. That's tragic. FNAF 4 was a game that was too vague. And that's why it didn't work narratively. So what he's saying, if I've understood this correctly, is that not only was there miscommunication about the story, Steel Wool's interpretation of the clues was different than what Scott Cawthon intended. Imagine all the different interpretations of the fans. Oh wait, we know. But unfortunately the fan base has a very erratic, hostile, dogmatic groupthink issue. Holy shit, I mean, like, we kind of already knew this, but it's like, actually hearing Scott Cawthon acknowledge this and talk about this is blowing my mind. Like, this is explaining a lot. It's like, not only was the story we got not only was it poorly communicated, but it's like, that wasn't even what he intended. This guy just, he didn't let anyone on the team in on the actual story. And that caused just a ton of problems, because obviously with these things being so open to interpretation, it's just like FNAF 4 where no one even knows what's going on. There's no coherent, oh my god.
Went a certain direction. They were taking pieces they didn't fully understand and trying to craft a story out.
So what the hell was the story?
And again,
then?
I don't blame them for that. I blame myself for that, because I guess what I should have done is just said, hey, here's the story. Here's why these pieces are here. Here's how they're supposed
And you've had 3 years, Scott. Well, what have you got to show for it?
to connect. And I can give you a really easy example for this. And I'm hesitant to say this because I don't like messing with the lore.
Say it.
But I think in this case, it's okay. When it comes to Burn Trap, originally, Burn Trap was never supposed to move. He was supposed to just be something you saw in the corners, or like if you were walking past machinery, you might be able to peek in between two things and see him in the corner or propped up against a wall. Almost
sorry,
Burn Trap was never.
He was never supposed to move? How does that ending work?
In the corner or propped up against a wall, almost like a some kind of decaying movie prop, and you never fully understood what his purpose was. And he had a very specific purpose, and I'm not going to say what that purpose was, but realistically, he never moved. Well, obviously, that's not what we got in Security Breach. In Security Breach, we got a capsule opening and purple smoke flowing out, and him climbing out and coming to get you.
I remember that.
And so it's just.
Sorry, did Steel Wool just do all of that by themselves? How did that pass release if that wasn't approved? I'm so confused.
Quite the same thing. So, but anyway. It didn't turn out the way anybody wanted, but hey, whenever that happens, just like whenever I stepped in it a little bit with
no, you don't get to run away from
me
this.
and Steel Wool got together. We were like, look, all that matters now is making things right by the fan base. That's all that matters. We all had the best intentions going on. We all wanted to make a good product, and we went in and we made Ruin.
Sorry, how do you create an entire ending with a unique cutscene animated sequence that is linked to one of the final shots from the previous trailers? How does that all happen by accident and pass despite contradicting the creator's intent with the character and the story on the like, how does that happen? I don't understand, man. I'm not sure if I'm like more pissed off about Security Breach or less now, because like I hate that game. but it's nice to get some clarity on why things ended up the way they are. But also, it's really fucking stupid. Come on! You're better than this, Scott. You're better than this.
And I hope that redeemed the game, and I feel like it did, because I think it was really great. And anything that we do going forward that continues that story or has the same themes, I think we're just going to be in a much better situation to continue on.
Yeah, at least he's being optimistic, guys. Every failure in life can be a lesson, but you have to make choices and be intelligent, or you just got to repeat your mistakes. I'm sure nothing could happen again like Security Breach. But, I mean, redeem the game, even if that was true, there's other things you haven't quite redeemed.
So, the Rune DLC came out.
Okay, I don't know if I've said this already, but I really should preface. When Security Breach released, I stopped following FNAF. I have not seen or played anything of the Rune DLC, which I thought was a hilarious name. They announced it like immediately after the game release, by the way, because they knew they fucked up that bad. They had to make a whole DLC just to fix the game, apparently. And, like, I thought it was just such a hilariously ironic name. Like, couldn't touch it. Hell Wanted 2, I've seen, like, a couple videos on. Like, I watched Markiplier's first video and Ambience's first live stream. I think that's it. And I don't know if there were any other games from Steelwool in that time. I don't think so. I probably would have heard about
a year ago now, which is crazy to think about.
Oh, my gosh.
Time's going so quickly, and the fan reaction to that was amazing. Everybody loved it, and everybody's looking forward to what's next. The ending of Ruin, with a specific character that came out, a new character into the games, the Mimic. Any thoughts on the Mimic?
Was in the games?
I cannot share any thoughts on the Mimic, other than I really like that character. This is a character that I really like and I'm really excited about. I think it's a really terrific antagonist, and I don't think it's the last that we've seen of the Mimic. That's all I'll say.
Yes.
Well, now we know with the
With that, do you have a favourite character in the Steelwool era of games?
I mean, Music Man is too obvious of an answer.
I will say this: DJ Music Man was fucking cool, bro. Like, probably the best character in Security Breach.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm
trying to forget.
I think all of those characters turned out great.
Yeah.
In fact, I think this is why it's hard to pick a favorite, because all of them turned out so well. You know, I've always really liked.
Bro, did not. They've all turned out so well. Let's talk about Vanny.
I've always really liked Vanny as a character. I don't think that Vanny was utilized to her fullest.
That is the understatement of the decade. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. I'm just being facetious now. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be
potential. And so hopefully we'll see another opportunity for Vanny to return as well. We'll see.
This is your brain when you're struggling.
Don't give me ads.
Ooh, okay. Moving on to the books.
Fazbear Frights.
So the books have been amazing. I've been doing little summary videos on the channel with Fazbear Frights. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
How has it been working on Fazbear Frights?
It's actually really enjoyable. It's probably one of the most enjoyable things that I do, because I just get to think up a really scary scenario, and then I create maybe a 10 to 15 page story out of it. And then I have writers that I work with, obviously, and they take that and they really flesh it out and fill it out and add the details and turn it into a full-length story. And I get to kind of really see it come to life.
30 to 40 pages.
Yeah, so it's been really enjoyable, and that's something that I really enjoy. It's funny because it's one of those things where, as long as I know that's something that's happening in my life, I might be at the gym or I might be watching a show, and then suddenly something will come to mind, and I'll be like, "Oh man, this is gonna make a great story," and I get right home and I start working on it.
Do you have a favorite story out of all of them?
I think my favorite story it's probably Bunny Call. I know that's kind of an oddball choice, but
that's a banger, and I think I know why.
Reason for it is because
Bunny Call.
Some of these stories are based on my real life experiences.
Yes.
Bunny Call is not completely made up. I used to take my family to a family summer camp. Okay, this is one of my two. This is my two oldest boys were maybe 11 and 12 at the time.
No way.
No. I bet they were 13 or 14. It's hard to remember exactly when this was. But then I had younger two that were just babies still. And whenever we showed up at camp and we were all in the auditorium signing up for activities, it was rafting and boating. One of the things you could sign up for was a panda call. Okay. And a panda call it's a very deceiving title, because what that meant is that early in the morning, a bunch of the camp counselors dressed as killer clowns would come into your cabin and scare the crap out of your kids to wake them up early and drag them off to their daily activities. And so I signed up my two oldest, Ian and Braden, my old beta testers from whenever they, through all their lives testing my games. I signed them up for it. And I thought, oh yeah, this will be kind of fun. It was kind of fun until the next morning started rolling around. I started thinking about what I'd done, because then the next morning I woke up at 5 a.m. and I realized they're out there somewhere. Like this is happening right now. And I started listening for screams, and I started listening for noises, and I even snuck out and went outside. And it was dark, and there were crickets chirping, and I was looking around, and I just thought to myself, somewhere out here in the dark, in these trees, are a bunch of clowns, and they're coming to my cabin. And it was a really, really scary sensation. And so then I just went back inside, and I looked at my family sleeping. I looked at my baby sleeping, and my kids, and my wife, and I was like, what have I done? Like, what have I done?
That's amazing, because as soon as he said Bunny Cool, and I remembered which story that was, the one with Ralpho, it's the cover of Volume 5, I was thinking, he's going to say it's like really relatable because as a father, he connects to the protagonist. That's straight up based on a real story. That's crazy. I wonder if the scene where he goes out and he finds the other dad, like, smoking, I wonder if that is inspired on something real as well. But, like, it seems more like he took the feeling in this scenario. And Bunny Cool is, like, one of the best Fazbear Fright stories. It's an absolute standout for me. It's one of the last really, really good ones. So that is, honestly, that's not a huge surprise. That makes a lot of sense, but wow. I am going to reread that story now, and I'm going to appreciate it so much more, like a whole new level, thinking, because, like, even the family, I remember thinking this kind of resembles the Aftons. Oh, it kind of resembles the Cawthons, like when I first read it, I think, yeah. Again, I was looking for lore clues back then. I had to reread all the stories twice to really appreciate them, but anyway.
Of course, it ended up not being a big deal, because then I just heard a soft knock at the door, and I opened it, and there was a row of killer clowns. I said, never mind, you guys, and they just walked on. And so it wasn't a big deal, but it was still a really eerie feeling like I had signed up for something that I'd regretted and I couldn't undo it,
That's such an excellent notion as well. So many Fazbear Fright stories do this really well. They fixate on guilt. They have the main character make some kind of mistake, but the consequences become so drastic and kind of blown out of proportion, and then it becomes scary. Like, that feeling of, like, what have I done? Oh, fuck, I messed up. Like, that sort of panic you get, like, when you sort of tell a white lie, or, you forget something, and it's like, no big deal, and as time goes on, you sort of realize the consequence. Like, that is scary. I felt that, and I think that's a feeling that Fazbear Frights consistently evoked really well. Yes, I think the stories got a bit formulaic after Volume 6, and yes, I think they've definitely reused a few things, but, like, in most cases, it's compelling.
No, that's why I based Bunny Call on that.
Oh, that's awesome. You said that you've got relatable stories. Do you have a relatable story with Fazgoo?
Oh, God. Don't remind me.
Look, okay. Listen, anytime there's a series of a whole bunch of different things, you're going to have some that are great, and then some that's like, well, like, what was going on with this? I don't know how to explain the Fazgoo. I'm sure I had something in mind that was really great, but, they can't all be winners.
I will say he's right. They can't all be winners. And the reason I've never been mad with Fazbear Frights producing some of the most crap content this franchise has ever seen, Bunny Call is in the same volume as In the Flesh, I think it's called. Possibly the worst story in Fav. It's just is. Ugh. And I don't mind, though, because I can ignore it. I can choose to ignore it. It's not tightly connected. It's not an important part of any continuity. It's just like a standalone story. Like, they're all standalone stories, and yeah, you've got the epilogues and stuff, but it's like the great thing about Fazbear Frights is that you can pick and choose. And genuinely, the stories that are the most closely connected to the epilogue sort of storyline are also the best stories anyways, so it's really not an issue. Unfortunately, the games aren't quite like that.
Now I will say a couple of the other ones that had real life connections, sometimes you hear about people talking about their sleep paralysis demons or whatever. That's never really made sense to me, but now it kind of makes sense to me, and I don't know why it does. Yeah, every once in a while, a person you'll wake up, but you'll still be paralyzed in your sleep, and for some reason, I guess in that moment, you're still half dreaming, and so you have a tendency to still maybe see something before you fully wake up. And the Blackbird creature was mine.
Ooh.
That creature on the cover of Blackbird is my sleep paralysis demon.
Oh, that's
because
so
I was
cool.
on vacation, I was by myself, and I don't know what the circumstances were. I feel like I was taking a midday nap, but I woke up with a jolt, and for a split second, I saw that thing standing over me, and I couldn't move, and my body was tingling, and I was just frozen up, and I was just so disoriented after that. But I never forgot
so
that,
cool.
and I knew immediately after that, it's like, I've got to get this into a story somewhere, like this crazy looking creature.
That is
Blackbird is the new Bonnie. Wow.
Crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I've never had sleep paralysis, so I don't know what my creature would look like, but I hope it doesn't look like that.
I don't think it's a normal experience.
That's another excuse to read Blackbird, which, by the way, is probably the best Fazbear Fright story, like, out of all of them. I did a collaboration with Ambience one time. It's over on his channel. You can go check it out. I'll probably link it in the description or something, or have it in a pinned comment, because you should watch that video. It was a banger. And I did live streams going way more in depth for, like, hours on each individual story, as well as, like, the tier list of the volumes. Oh, it was peak. It's peak, man.
I don't think it's an experience you should want to have. I don't feel like it's a healthy thing. So
Yeah.
if that hasn't happened to you, I think you're in a good place.
I've
Do you
never
have a
had
least
sleep
favourite
paralysis.
story?
I don't know. I think it probably might be the Fazgoo, or no. I mean, come on. It's got to be the one where the guy gets pregnant with Springtrap's baby. I'm not sure what I was thinking about. You know, again, that's one of those things where, oh man, this is going to be really creepy. But then you step back and look at it from afar, and you're like, I don't know if this is a good idea. And I swear I wasn't picking on MatPat. That wasn't a story designed with MatPat in mind. It really, really wasn't.
Why was the protagonist called Matt?
Listen, whenever you're doing these stories for this long, eventually you just run out of names, and you're going to cover all the names, you know?
Yeah.
Eventually I'll get around to Dawko, you know? And so if you see Dawko in one of these stories, it's not something personal. It's just because I ran out of names, you know?
I don't know. Dawko is a very specific name that you'd have to get to.
I probably have a few more to go through before I get to that, so you don't have anything to worry about.
When do you watch summary videos, and I know a lot of people say the same, people who loved Goosebumps when they were kids find these really relatable, right? And
I can't believe that Scott Cawthon was the one who came up with In the Flesh. Did he have the idea for every single story? Like, that process he mentioned? Because I thought some of these stories were just other writers, but, like, did he have the idea for every single one? Is that what he's saying? I know they can't all be winners, but holy shit, what were you thinking? Anyway, Goosebumps.
I know kids at school now read Fazbear Frights like their Goosebumps books. Yeah. And as a kid, my favourite TV show was Goosebumps. Would you ever think about or like the idea of Fazbear Frights ever being like a TV show like?
I've been saying for years, FNAF could be a really cool TV show, and there are so many different forms of TV show that would work with FNAF. If it was like a Black Mirror, like anthological type thing with Fazbear Frights, ooh, they could cook. They could cook. They'd need a good, like, production company to help make these. Again, maybe Blumhouse. I don't know if they do TV shows, but mate, oh my god, Black Mirror style FNAF is something I did not realize how much I needed to see. Because my ideas for FNAF TV shows have always been like Breaking Bad style, like slow burn, very kind of connected, sort of, you know, character focused. But man, just like a short collection of horror, that'd be so much more feasible, so much easier to make well. I don't know, I wouldn't expect this to happen soon, but maybe when the movies are done, they'll get a spin-off TV show or something.
Goosebumps, where it's like a series of some of the best stories or something adapted.
They're already doing this with the graphic novels. They're selectively picking the best stories for the graphic novels, so that's good.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's something that can definitely happen, especially now that the first movie came out and was successful. I think that really opens the door to lots of other potential opportunities. The only thing to be mindful of is I don't want to oversaturate the market and just create too much. And I think that sometimes we get a little bit of that where franchises have movies and too many TV shows, and it just kind of waters everything down.
Marvel stars.
But but I really do like that idea, and it is definitely something that could happen for sure.
Awesome. So the next segment is the FNAF movie. I've got some questions for you, Scott.
Yeah, more movie
First
questions.
off, I absolutely loved the movie, as you know, and I know a lot of people did as well. The fans absolutely loved it.
It was
and
good.
it did really well at the box office as well. Super successful.
So
Congratulations to you, Blumhouse, Universal. So yeah,
the first
question is, how was working on the first FNAF movie after waiting for so long, after announcing it back in 2015? Well, you emailed me back in 2015 about it. I still remember that email. But yeah, how was it?
It took a really long time to get off the ground, really just because of the screenplay. But after the screenplay was really locked in, from there, all the wheels started turning.
That was like 2020.
All the engines fired, and it took off, and it was a really fun experience from there.
Later, 2020.
And really, the screenplay just had a lot of challenges.
No, the movie came out
because of what it was, and it's really, throughout all of those, plays had a lot of challenges because of what it was, and it's really, throughout all of those years, I worked with a lot of different directors, a lot of different writers, a lot of really talented people that eventually would end up leaving the project, but still really talented people. And it was really just a matter of there's just material that's difficult to translate to the screen. And one of the biggest issues is the animatronics, obviously being the monsters in the monster movie. If I were to approach any writer of a horror movie or any director and say, okay, here are your monsters, go make a monster movie with them, that's easy. You give them all a knife, you go in, you just make your generic slasher, but just have it be, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy doing the slasher.
That would have sucked, yes.
The nuance here is that these animatronics are possessed by the spirits of kids. And these are innocent kids. These are victims themselves. So it's very, very difficult to still have a horror movie, still have those kills that you need, but still preserve the innocence of those kids. And it's a really difficult thing to do. And there were several screenplays that did not hit that mark. And I think I was more cautious about that and more picky about that than anything else. If kind of the innocence of those spirits was not preserved properly, I wasn't going to go forward with it. And so, one quick example is the way that we were able to have a couple of kills in the movie was obviously the vandals. You have a group of people who are breaking in, they're disrespecting the place, they're trashing the place, they're there with bad intentions, and then you combine that with the fact that these animatronics are, the spirits in them are these kids that are basically very confused and lost, animals backed into a corner, and kind of left with this impression that adults are out to get them, and then you have these violent adults breaking in. And so it allows you to have that kill count while still being like, well, I can kind of see how that might happen. It was a tricky thing to do, but I think we were able to accomplish that.
I will say, he's absolutely right. And I can't fault him for this, because that is a very difficult thing to balance. I've never even thought about this, but the way in which the innocence of the spirits and the ferocity of the animatronics has been balanced throughout the games and the lore and the series so far, there's been so many different explanations and interpretations. For a while in the games, it's been pervaded that there's this idea that the animatronics themselves are their own sentient creatures, while the ghost spirits are sort of not even aware of reality. This is consistent in the original trilogy of books, I think Ultimate Custom Night and kind of those games. But translating that to the movie would be really difficult, and I really like that they took a simpler route and just made it, these are the lost souls. They know what they're doing. But I think the nuance, which the movie successfully achieved, is kind of this open to interpretation thing that, the kids don't quite perceive reality the same way as us. They probably see things as a lot more simple and black and white. And I think the Vandals were a great way to do that, honestly. It just, the way it's tied in with the story, I mean, there's a few issues narratively, but, overall, I get it. I think that conflict, it doesn't entirely make sense in the story, but, it makes sense with how the animatronics kind of are entwined with that. But, this doesn't excuse the Fortnite scene. It does not excuse the Fortnite scene. The Fort scene is ridiculous. It's not even necessarily what was happening, but how it was shown. And I just think, I don't know. The animatronics weren't scary enough in this movie, honestly. They had their moments, but they just weren't scary. I suppose they sort of stopped being scary and they needed to. Yeah, I won't go on about it, but yeah. It is a difficult thing, and I think the movie... It did the animatronics right. It did the animatronics really well, but it could have been better. Not that that would be easy to do. I mean, you know...
Manipulated by William Afton still as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right.
Oh, God. I forget that's a thing, because I don't like this plot point. It's so confusing. Because it's in the games and books as well, but I still don't get it. Like, how is Bro manipulating them?
The drawing on the wall was also kind of this...
I completely blanked this out in my mind because it was really stupid. Is
this
there an
layer,
explanation
this blanket
for
of
this?
manipulation over them all. So all
this
those
was in
things
the Silver Eyes as well, and it never made any sense to me.
You could see how these actions could happen while it not necessarily being the fault of the kids.
With the fort scene as well, I loved the fort scene. I know some people were a bit confused by that, like why are they building a fort? But I got it straight away. You know, you just want to show the audience that they're just kids, right?
Guys.
You know?
Okay, can we? Let's not forget that kids can be awful. Kids can be cruel and sadistic, and selfish and terrible a lot of the time. Okay, kids are not pure and innocent all of the time. That's trust me, it's not true. As a former child, so I don't know, not a very realistic view on children.
No. Were you happy with the first movie and how it came out?
Yes, I am very happy. I mean, look, anytime anybody, I think pretty much anybody who's been through a process like this would be able to look back. And I do this with my games too. You look back and you're like, well, I wish I'd tweaked this. Oh, maybe this could have been like this, or maybe this could have been like that. But you have to just really take a step back and look at it as a whole, and where it came from, all the things that could have gone wrong, and all the things that went right, and just be really grateful that so many things just fell into place. You know, and I can give you a really quick example of why I don't want to second guess too much. You know, at the 11th hour of this movie coming together, we still really didn't have a music composer, and I'd really wanted an animated intro.
It's funny because I remember thinking the first watch that the movie soundtrack was like, and then I rewatched it. I was like, oh my god, the soundtrack's a banger. I was so focused on other things I didn't appreciate it first watch. That's really interesting.
I was really pushing to have that 8-bit animated intro, but we didn't have anybody, and really not really anybody to have an idea of what kind of music we were looking for. 11th hour, Newton Brothers come in and they write out that banger of a track, like absolute insane. Like I listened to that the first time and I was like, wait a minute, do I have a theme song? Does Five Nights at Freddy's have a theme song? You know, and I even
it took 9 years.
I called Emma Tammy on the phone. I was like, wait, do we have a theme song now? Like, I can't tell you how excited I was over that. And you better believe you're going to hear that again at the beginning of the second movie.
I hope that becomes the FNAF theme song for like everything now, and like we start seeing it and hearing it in like the games and stuff as well. That would be so cool, because the Newton Brothers, like the title track, like I think it is in the soundtrack. It's just called like Five Nights at Freddy's or something. It is such a the tone, the melody, the harmony, like it's right. It feels like FNAF. It's got that fresh feel of the movie, while also feeling in line with kind of FNAF 2 death mini games and all the kind of echoes of the
movie too. I mean, like, that was just so incredible. The Newton Brothers just knocked that out of the park.
They really did.
So yeah, so many things went right that I don't think I'm going to dwell too much on, you know, what I would go back and try to do differently.
As we know, the movie was a major hit in 2023, super successful. The biggest horror movie of 2023 as well.
Oh, yeah,
how does that feel seeing that happen?
Didn't it outdo Scream 6? And like people were going crazy about that.
It's nice. That part is nice. It's more important to me that if the critics had loved it, but the fan base was grumbling and saying, "Wait, this isn't how it is in the lore. Wait, we didn't like this. I don't like how they did this, and this," and the fan base was unhappy. That would be a failure to me. I'm perfectly happy with all the critics hating it and the fan base reacting positively to it.
I don't know. That's honorable, but I think what would be better is not really to fixate on either of their opinions, as if all viewers of the movie are going to fall into one camp or the other, because they're not. Obviously, appealing to fans is important, but, like, story first, not lore first. Lore is really not that important for the movie, I wouldn't say. But yeah, at least he's not like bothered by the critics, because some people were way too harsh on the FNAF movie. Like, it was ridiculous. It was completely blown out of proportion. Kind of like The Acolyte has been with Star Wars. The hate for that has been just absurd. Not only do I think The Acolyte is fine, actually it's probably one of the best Star Wars shows after like Andor, Mandalorian season 1 and 2, maybe Ahsoka. Like, it's pretty good. But man, even if you don't like The Acolyte because of, I don't know, clunky dialogue direction or whatever, I don't know. All the criticism I heard has been vague at best. Just, what, 13-14% on Rotten Tomatoes? But yeah, the FNAF movie was similar. It was in the 20s or 30s of the percents for the critics, and then the audience was like 80 or 90. I was like, wow. Yeah, anyway.
So yes, it is nice that the movie was successful. However,
yeah, the
that
money
is
came
not
in.
the correct metric by which to judge the success of this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
And in fact, opening night, which was Thursday night, where I am, I went to the very first showing, and the theater was pretty much empty. There were only a couple other people in there, but it was a 1:00 showing. So, but still, I saw that as kind of a bad sign. But I just watched it anyway. Then I went to the next showing, which was just later in the evening, and I told myself I wasn't going to go online. I wasn't going to read any reviews. I had already told everybody at Blumhouse, and I told my legal team, don't talk to me, don't call me, don't email me, don't send me charts, don't send me facts or figures. I don't want to hear anything about anything. I'm going through this whole weekend blind. I just want to experience what everybody else is experiencing. Well, before I went into that second showing,
wise. Honestly, that is very wise. And more filmmakers should do this, especially if they're running franchises and doing like sequels and trilogies. Huh.
Just by myself. And then later that evening, my whole family was coming into town, by the way. My whole family was going to come in town and watch the movie with me that night.
Movie makers are
but
doing
this
it.
showing I was still seeing by myself. I was checking my email, and I accidentally saw one of the reviews. And I saw that it was terrible. And that opened the floodgates, and I went and started reading all of the other reviews. And I immediately texted my family saying, don't come. Don't come. This is over. I want to be by myself. And I was already thinking in my head, like, how am I going to write a letter to Blumhouse apologizing for this? How am I going to write a letter to the fans apologizing to this for just wasting everybody's time? And I was just incredibly depressed. But somehow Jason Blum caught wind of this. I don't know who I asked the question to or what I said, but he started just bombarding me with text messages saying, Scott, the fans love it. The fans love it. The movie's a big hit. Everything's great. He was just, in all caps, everything all caps. My phone was just blowing with all caps texts.
Wow.
And so he really talked me through that to try to encourage me that even though the critics hated it, there was a lot. There was a lot to be loved there by the fans. And so then I had my family come into town anyway, and we just sat in a packed theater and listened to the cheers and enthusiasm, and it really lifted my spirits. But for a couple of hours there, man, I was pretty distraught. I thought the whole thing was just a complete disaster.
But it wasn't.
I will say, my theatre experience wasn't crazy. It wasn't in my usual area, although I doubt there's many FNAF fans here anyway, I wouldn't know. But I do remember there being, I think, a couple whoops and cheers at some of the scenes towards the end, and there was like straight up applause near the end, I think. Like it wasn't crazy. It was kind of, because there were not a lot of people in mine. Mine wasn't packed. It was like 30 people maybe in like a auditorium that could seat like over 100, but like people were thrilled about it. It was fans there, and you could tell. Like people would like whisper, and be like, oh, when William Afton goes on screen or whatever. It's like there was so much excitement.
But it wasn't. It all
wasn't. It was
okay,
fairly
it all worked
subtle.
okay.
Yeah.
And again, the movie's not perfect. There's definitely room to improve.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm definitely happy that it was, in general, received well by the fan base.
Honestly, I think they did really well with the movie. Like, I have problems with the movie, but like, it's clear to me that Scott Cawthon has tried his best with this. I want to believe him. It's kind of weird to. It's really difficult to kind of track the guy, because like I don't trust what he says like I used to. Like I just can't. He spouted a lot of shit since 2020, if I'm being honest. And I think at the end of the day, he's just slightly out of touch, slightly confused indie game developer who wasn't quite prepared to run a multi-million-dollar franchise, and still makes mistakes and blunders that he doesn't realize till it's too late. And I think that's probably just the truth at the end of the day. Is he's just a human being, and he's not perfect, and that's fine. But man, I am still just baffled at some of the decisions made. Like, God, it's just I genuinely, I was loving the FNAF movie, and I was trying not to get too excited about it, and then it fell apart in the third act, and I was like, yep, here we go. So
the second movie,
shame,
which is,
I gotta be honest, I'm expecting the second movie to be bad, because if it took Scott Cawthon 9 years to write the script that we got, oh my God, it's so over. I hope he gets a good script editor or something, because I'm sure he does have a rough plan for a trilogy. He's always said there might be a second and third one based on games 2 and 3, but if the script's not good, nothing else matters. It's oof. I want it to be good, and I probably will be seeing it, but we'll see.
You know, it's been announced that it's going to be coming out in 2025. Is it December 2025?
Yeah, December 5th, 2025.
There's a release date.
Is there anything exciting to talk about on the second movie?
Oh my God,
anything
that was
you want
quick.
to say?
I'm not going to give away too many details.
I thought it would be a few more years.
But I will say that I'm following kind of the same formula where the first movie is focused on the first game. So I'm going to try to carry on that tradition onward with future movies. And I think that is absolutely the way to go.
Except they rushed Springtrap, so now they've set a precedent where Springtrap needs to be the main antagonist for the second movie, and we barely got any time with William Afton. And what that means is that unless this is a prequel and heavily relies on flashbacks and it has a different antagonist, they're gonna, instead of following the games, they're gonna follow the novels, and the novels were rubbish. The novels were utter nonsense. That were just a mess. Please, God, do not give us Twisted One Springtrap. There's a fast way to ruin a character.
Oh,
I say that as if he hasn't already been ruined, let's be honest. But, you know, maybe it'll actually be a prequel. Who knows? There's so many possibilities. But yeah, FNAF 3 is a movie, though. I think FNAF 3 is a movie would be hard to mess up, depending on how Springtrap is written.
I think everyone's going to be really, really excited for what's planned for the second one. You know, the first one was really challenging because it's so much setup. It's like, how do you establish all of this? Yeah. But now that we have that launch pad, where to go from there?
Please don't go down the rabbit hole of sci-fi.
Just more natural.
Don't go nuts.
It felt a lot more natural. And we were able to really craft just a really great story, I think. And I'm really excited about it. And I won't say anything more, but I'm really hopeful that everyone's going to really love what's gonna come around December 2025.
It's gonna be cheesy, campy, fan servicey bullshit. I'm calling it now, but it might still be good. If it's an improvement for the first, I will be impressed. Genuinely, I want it to be. I'm not optimistic, guys. After everything that's happened.
Yeah, so exciting. And is Emma back and everything?
Oh yeah. Emma's gonna be back. She did such a great job on that first one.
She did.
You know.
Yeah, that's really good, having the same director. So now we're going to be...
Directors are really important. When you have a different director, it shows. So I'm glad Tammy's staying on for the second and hopefully the third.
Talking about Into the Pit, the new game that's coming out by Mega Cat Studios.
This is coming out 2 days.
We just got the trailer. Another trailer a couple, like last week.
On the day of the 10th
and it looks amazing. It looks so good. How has it been working on the game based on a Fazbear Fright story?
It's definitely been a unique experience. You know, I first started talking to Meg. I mean, it's been years and years since that game has been in development. And originally, it was just supposed to be a little novelty one-off. It's like, oh yeah, here's this little company that makes 16-bit cartridges, and that was immediately appealing to me because I'm all about the Super Nintendo. And
all right.
So if I could make something that would come on a Super Nintendo cartridge, you know, sign me up. That was the most exciting thing. The most exciting product I'd ever worked on. It was still just supposed to be a novelty, but as the development went on,
how long?
Everybody.
I thought this was like a new thing. Like this was only announced a few weeks ago, so I thought they probably only started development like last year. Has this been around like longer?
I was looking at it thinking this looks pretty good. This actually looks really good. And so they just kept on going with it. They could have stopped a lot sooner, and they could have stopped with just a little simple novelty game, but they just kept going.
Fair
and
enough.
I kept looking at thinking,
and it's become the 10th anniversary
keep going.
flagship
and they kept
game.
going, and I would keep looking at it, and it just turned into this big, full-fledged, full-sized game. So we obviously decided to venture away from strictly the cartridges.
I like the pixel
so that everybody can be able to play it
music
on Steam and everything. But it's really unique. It's just a really, really unique game, and I do love that it really gets into just this really gritty kind of gritty graphics that I haven't seen since, well, I guess since the late 90s, whenever you had those point and click type adventures and you had that real kind of that pixelated art style that can be really creepy at times. I don't know. It's going to be a really unique experience, and I think that everyone's going to really be excited about it.
I will say there are like fan games like Super FNAF which use the pixel graphics, but Super FNAF never used the pixel graphics to be scary. This game might be one of a kind. I
really do.
Awesome. I can't wait to play it. How is it?
It's cool how they've chosen frights to kind of represent the new era for the 10th anniversary, when you think about it. Because it's like Spring Bonnie was always like a big character in FNAF, and now we have like Pit Bonnie. Like, out of the things to put out on August 8th, the only thing I would have considered other than Into the Pit would have been the Joy of Creation, just out of sheer quality, but frights being adapted into games, it's cool. I love seeing this.
Has it been working with Mega Cat Studios?
Yeah, Mega Cat Studios.
It's been great. It's been really great. I really haven't had to give them. I mean, I have had to give them direction, but for the most part, it's been weird. They would go into the hole for 6, 7, 8 months at a time, and I wouldn't hear anything from them. To the point where I thought, is this okay? And I would even, I talk to the other people that I work with, like, is this game okay? Is this going to be okay? Are they okay? Do I need to check on this? Do we need to check on them over there? But then I would get an update, and it would just be all this crazy new stuff and all this crazy detail, this fluid animation. It's just crazy stuff.
That's good.
And they'd go back into the hole again
vibes.
For 5, 6, 7 months, and then we just repeat that cycle.
The game developer gremlins. Shout out to all the game developer gremlins watching this. I know there's a few of you in the community on the Hydration Nation, my Discord server, link in the description or on the banner or something. That is such a vibe. That already is giving me good vibes about Mega Cat Studios. I hope they've made something good here.
But now here we are finally at the end of that road, and I think it's just turned out really great. Like I said, really unique, and I think everybody's going to really like it.
The reaction to the trailer has been amazing. All positive feedback about it. Super excited. People love it. The story of Into the Pit as well. Into the Pit's probably my favourite Fazbear Fright story.
Very iconic.
So with all the positive feedback about it, what do you see for the future of FNAF spin-offs made by other studios in the future?
Oh, it's definitely a possibility. In fact, I'd really like them to start working on Fetch. I think Fetch would make a really good game after.
Okay, honestly, I was thinking in my head, man, what if they made a Fetch? No, don't say that, Matt, that's silly. Then I thought, what if they made like a DLC based on Fetch? I thought, nah, Matt, that's silly. Because what they've probably done with the Into the Pit, by making it such a big game, it's made it this big interconnected thing that references other stuff anyways. And I, literally, before Scott Cawthon said this, I was thinking, nah, I'm not going to say this to my viewers and subscribers. This is one of those stupid thoughts that nobody would take seriously and would be completely unnecessary and would probably not be good because the quality would dilute. The thing is, guys, horrible ideas are only horrible ideas until they work. Delusions are only delusions until they succeed. So take risks, but maybe don't take that one out of context. I'm really thinking about game development here, art. Don't take that one out of the context of art. You know what I meant, right? Okay, good luck. But Fetch game? Interested?
For this. Some stories obviously cater more toward being a good game than others, but there's something really scary about the thought of something always being out there and kind of watching your house and then trying to come in and do things for you.
I was part of a group once who were trying to make a game that adapted several Fazbear Fright stories and epilogues into one game. It never got made, never took off. It wouldn't have been crazy, but
this is kind of a scary thought. The thought that I might be online shopping and looking for a specific thing, and somehow something out there is hearing that and receiving that, and then gonna come to me, sneak inside and put it somewhere without me knowing that it was there. It's just a creepy scenario. It's a creepy setup. And I think it'd be a really cool game to have to stop this thing, because obviously Fetch was out doing a lot of menacing things. To have to sneak around a neighborhood and stop this thing that's sneaking around so undetected. I don't know. I think it'd be a really cool game. So hopefully that'll be the next project. We'll see.
As the franchise has grown bigger, What challenges have you faced with running a franchise of this size? Is there?
Oh my god! This could be huge, chat. This could be. I'm gonna stop.
For anything you could think you could be doing better?
I think something I should have maybe been doing better is I should have had a better structure in place as far as people to talk to the fan base. You know, I've always kept that on myself all during the years, and in the early years, I think that worked great because it was a little indie game, a little indie community, and then me, the indie dev, just chatting with the community and talking. But as the years go by and the franchise gets bigger and bigger, I don't know. I feel like I've slowly kind of lost touch with the fan base. Unfortunately, it's not that same. It's not that same relationship that it used to be. I really used to enjoy chatting with everybody and just kind of I don't know. And I guess that's expected because FNAF is more of a big, it's kind of a just kind of a bigger thing now, and it's bigger than one person, and I can't just pretend like I can hop online and chat with everybody and solve everybody's problems anymore. Used to, I kind of could. I could just go in there and chat with everybody and resolve little problems as if it was like just a squabble on a forum. I can always just step in and solve it, but it's just not the same. And I think that I should have realized that sooner, and I'm really only realizing that this year, that I really need to have a better structure in place.
Finally,
you know, the fan base.
Finally, oh my god. Oh my god, finally. He only realized this year? At least he knows. Oh my god. I need a minute to chat, because that's... Oh my god. He knows. He actually knows now. Bro was probably so busy with the movie, he forgot about everything else. And then once that was done, because if you followed r/animdude, u/animdude, and everything since 2018, well, everything between the previous interview and this one, oh my god. Like, he drifted out of things, and then there was the fake retirement, and then just the endless drama, which he didn't acknowledge most of it. Oh my god. I don't know if I'm more pissed off or just relieved that he understands now. Could we finally get a centralized FNAF website, a real-life Fazbear Entertainment company? Could he actually, like, set up an organization to help him run the show? Because, please, God, your franchise is a fucking mess, man. Help us. Oh my god. It just... And the other thing that's literally been on my mind for years, he says he should have realized sooner that he shouldn't just step in and solve it, but, like, I feel like he stopped doing that too soon. There's so many things, I think particularly with the lore, I think there's so many things that could have been clarified or resolved with just, like, a couple sentences on Reddit. Like, I get that making endless apology posts in that period for every single thing that went wrong in the Fazbear fanverse probably would have been too much and just ineffective and just a waste of everyone's time. But accountability, man, like, there's got to be better things he can do. I hope you can see improvement, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's been really
realizing
rough.
That this year that I really need to have a better structure in place.
Please.
You know, and the fan base deserves that. The franchise deserves that.
At
The
least
fan
he
base
knows
deserves that to
now,
have
finally.
more people in charge and running a Twitter page, an official news feed.
My God,
you know, an official
yes.
news feed, so that there's not so much confusion.
Dude, literally, Kane Carter, his Twitter page was the FNAF newsfeed for several years. A completely unofficial thing, even though he's involved with the official franchise. It's like, people just relying on Kane for news, and, like, Discord servers, it's ridiculous. There are smaller IPs with a better setup. All these basics. Anyway.
About what's real and what's not real, and real news and fake news, and is this confirmed, is this not confirmed?
Don't even get
I
me
could have
started.
avoided years of that
Literal
if I just
years,
kind of had a better structure in place with people to listen to, and, like I said, a news feed and someone else to just provide better answers to the fan base.
I'm sorry, this has been a thing for so long. I've been saying this over and over for so many years. Oh my god, finally.
So I'm trying to get all that in place, and I really think it would just better serve the fan base, and I think everybody would be a little happier if it's not just me trying to jump in and straighten things out when needed.
Yeah.
He said, like, every time he tries to, it does get worse, which I don't think is necessarily true, but there's been 1 or 2 cases where he said something that's just caused more confusion in an effort to decrease confusion. I get it, but oh my god. Look at this, guys. You got look at the bright side. There is no way we are going to be getting the repeat mistakes that we have with FNAF in the last 2 years. If he can actually set up some kind of structure, maybe things are going to be okay.
I think the Twitter's a great idea.
It's a step. It's not great. A website would be much better. Do you know what, guys? I recently went back to Scott Games. I recently went back. And I just stared at this for a while because it got me thinking about the old days. Ignore the hamster. Like, I mean, this is all that's left. Like, this is it. And of course, you've also got the FNAF World website. I almost don't want these to ever come back because they'll never be the same. But like, I really miss these websites. I miss when we got cryptic teasers. It was like the proper indie era of FNAF, and it just sort of faded away in like 2018, 2019. And like, I don't really want them to come back because they won't be the same. But like, I miss them. Like, I want to go back in time. I don't think these should necessarily be revived, but we need a website again, man. It's ridiculous that there's no official news source. And he's only realised this in the last year.
But, you know, it was announced today. The schedule for what's coming out during that week is...
I will say, this has been really helpful. I just think Twitter or X is a dog shit platform that, like, needs to be replaced, but that's a whole different issue. It's, you know, it's... I think Reddit was equally good. Like, it's slightly more mainstream, I guess.
Really exciting and really good. So people, you know, can get excited for the anniversary. They kind of know what's coming, which is really exciting. And, you know, communication like that, you know, it's you know, people have really appreciated that. So thank you for doing that. And looking forward to seeing what happens next on the Twitter, what they announce. And apart from the second movie to look forward to, is there anything else you could hint at
let's see.
For the future?
I mean, this is the big question, because I've been saying for months, like, is it just, like, we can't just keep going through this hazy grey period of Steel Wall game, Frights books, like
titles or any little hints.
The anniversary stuff's exciting, but it's just a show. It's like you're gonna get all these things and then boom, it's over. And obviously the fanverse is somewhere in the distant future, but like there's got to be more right?
To get people excited for the future.
One of the good things is going to be coming from Steel Wool, but that's going to be announced here in this same week that your interview is going to air. So I think that's it. In fact, I'm not sure if it was right before this or right after this.
Yeah,
it might have been right after this.
Yesterday.
Okay. And obviously everybody knows about the movie, and right now the books are these interactive books, which I read things like that growing up. So I'm excited about those, and I've tried to add some depth into those to where you can actually collect items in them and things like that. So it's really not just about picking a path; it's about picking a path and getting something, and then going to the other path and being able to use something. So it makes it more interesting and more intricate. But yeah, I mean that's the plan for movies, games, and books. And I already told you my hope for the next Mega Cat game.
Dude, I would love to see Mega Cat stick around.
And there is another game planned with Steel Wool, but that's not going to be announced for a while yet. So I can't talk about that. But there is something down the pipe.
I don't know. What? No, I don't know what the hell that was. Bro, YouTube giving me the freaky ads today. Please purge that from your mind. Why can't I just edit this out? Funny. Okay. Even beyond what's being announced this week, there's something beyond. But I can't talk about that.
Yeah, so I won't spoil anything. But I read the week before, guys, and it is good. So please,
what's the week before?
Check it out when it comes out.
Again, there's no official news feed, and I've stayed away from the fanbase. I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of it.
I'm looking forward to the Into the Pit one. VIP is the interactive novel VIP another one as well?
Yes, yeah, yeah. VIP is it's one that I did with Scholastic, just like the others, but it's just going to be free. It's specifically for this event. I mean, I might still be included in a box set later down the road, but
Cool.
no, for this week it was made specific.
God, imagine if they made like a mega box set of like every FNAF book, and it was like 60 books. It was like all of Frights, all of Tales. That'd be nuts.
Specifically for this event,
Oh my God.
by the same author, I believe,
It's
as
the week before
before. So if you
Tales
enjoyed that
thing?
one,
'Cause I didn't
you'll
check
enjoy
those
VIP. And I really love the story for VIP.
Like I was fatigued with Frights by the time I got to like volume like 8, which was the worst one. Like up to volume 7, like I started petering out with volume 7. Volume 8 was just the, and like I was only reading for the epilogues up to volume 11, and volume 12 was mid. And Tales, it's just there's so much. Even if it wasn't like security breach connected, like oh my God, it's too much. I don't have the money for that.
I'm not going to
I'm not
ruin
as
it,
fussed
but
about
it might be one of my favorites. So hopefully everybody really enjoys that.
That's awesome. I'm pretty sure it comes out before the interview, so
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Future me, if you're watching, you probably loved it. There is a collab announcement tomorrow from this interview.
Yes.
Whatever it is, I don't know.
DVD.
But it seems that you've been more open with collaborations with games recently. The Funko one as well.
Oh yeah, Funko's making.
Are you more
game
open to
that
more
includes
collabs since we last spoke during the last interview?
Dude, these are like all the things that have been on my mind for like the last 3 or 4 years, and I've never been able to ask. Oh my God.
Like, would you be interested in whatever it is? I don't know, like Fortnite or Dead by Daylight. Have those popped into your head at all? Or
I'm very careful with collaborations because I want to protect the brand and I want to make sure that Five Nights at Freddy's stays as Five Nights at Freddy's. And there are some games where even if I really enjoy the game, it just doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a good match. It feels like a mismatch. The brand integrity is the most important thing for me.
Okay,
and
Fortnite, yeah.
keeping everything
DVD?
feeling like it belongs. And so that's really been my only hesitancy.
Dude,
I feel like I am
made for FNAF.
branching out a little bit, and I am a little bit more open to those things than maybe I was in the early years. But I'm still very careful.
It's actually
about
a horror
it.
game.
We'll just see.
Unlike
We'll see how
Fortnite.
things go.
okay,
Because FNAF collabing with Fortnite and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, when that was a thing, I always thought they got Mugman, Cuphead, and Steve from friggin' Minecraft. Get FNAF in there. I thought that's about representation of video game culture more generally. It could totally fit in with a more cartoony style, leaning into the goofy side of FNAF. But it's like, yeah, Fortnite is a... I mean, I don't want to say Fortnite is a sellout, but it's like it's owned by Epic Games, and like there's just... It's oversaturated with franchises and microtransactions, at least so I've heard. I don't think it's as big a problem now as it was years ago, but Fortnite is all over the place. DBD, though, is specifically for horror games. Like, FNAF, like, it's literally made to accommodate collabs with stuff like FNAF. I mean, it's done everything else, you know, in the horror genre in between. And obviously there's a lot of variety between that, but it's like, it's the scary game. It's the scary, like, crossover game. It's the scary horror, you know, Infinity War. You got Resident Evil, and I think depending on different times, because some of it's limited, like, you got Silent Hill, and a lot of classic movies as well, like, you know, Scream and Halloween, you know, with Michael Myers and that kind of thing, yeah. So
anything
I'm
else
amazed
you would
it's
like
taken
to
this
add
long
to
for FNAF
finish
get
off the interview?
Let's see here. No, I mean, I think things are in a good place, and like I said, I think that the things that are on the horizon are all things to be excited about, and I think that everybody's going to really enjoy. The things that the fan base really going to enjoy, and I wish I could talk about those more, but I don't feel like I can.
So, do you think we're going to have another interview in 10 years' time?
It doesn't have to be 10 years. We can try to do this a little bit more often.
But what, every 5
Not too
years?
Yeah, every 5 years.
You sure?
There we go.
Okay. Shaking your hand.
Just make it a regular thing.
Okay, awesome. The
could be
biggest
cool.
thing that everybody has been begging me for this interview when I announced it is the box.
Really?
That is, everybody just wants to know
Really?
anything about it, because it is.
Was the boxing like a new thing that I don't know about? Like, it's the box. I thought the box stopped being relevant in like 2019. Like, I don't think I've had a serious conversation about the box since like Matt Pat's like video on Pizza Sim explaining that the box became like this meta and like the content's changed twice. Like, that's I completely forgot that was in this video. It's just it's such a of all the things, like, that's what people are asking about, not all the security breach lore, or maybe the books, or just what's next. Like, I don't know, that's weird.
It's the biggest mystery out of the whole
Is it?
10 years of
Is
FNAF,
it
I
the
would
biggest
say.
mystery? I mean,
Maybe Midnight Motorist is number 2. But
Okay,
yeah,
I
I'd
see-
say
I
the
see your
box is
logic.
the biggest.
I
The
think
biggest
Midnight Motorist is more
mystery
important.
that everybody wants, like, even a tiny snippet of something. Help.
Okay.
Help, what's in the
Okay.
box?
Well, I can try to give
I mean, do we
somewhat
care?
of an answer
It
to
doesn't-
that,
doesn't
even though it
matter.
might not be extremely satisfying for a lot of people. So I would encourage
Jesus.
people to turn off the interview if they don't want an answer that they might not be happy with. But
Alright, guys, thank you all so much for what. Nah, I'm kidding. Listen, like, I have already gotten unsatisfactory answers for years on end. You know, I used to be pretty immersed in the FNAF lore. I enjoyed it very much up until Ultimate Custom Night, and I was, like, super interested in all the different theories and headcanons and speculations and possibilities, and I had my own kind of beliefs. It's really weird how we talk about this like a religious cult, because it's like, yeah, the you know, canon is actually a religious term. It originates, I think, from like religious scriptures and like different interpretations of like the Bible and stuff like that. But also, like, my interest in it died with Help Wanted since, because it's just the writing and the fan base is changed, man. It's changed. I'm gonna watch this. There's no way. Like, if I don't watch this, it's gonna be spoiled for me because someone's gonna message me about it, asking for my opinion. And yeah, I mean, what is the most unsatisfying thing he could say here? What is the most unsatisfying thing? Like something that connects it to security breach. Probably.
you know, whenever I'm making these games,
I don't know.
there are a lot of things that
like MikeBot being confirmed.
are in my head that are just
Theory names are a dumb thing. Why was that ever a thing? Sorry, for those who don't know, MikeBot, it refers to the theory espoused by MatPat in like 2018 that Michael Afton, the guy who rots down as a corpse after being, you know, inhabited by Ennard, that guy, he's actually an android robot like Charlie was in the novels, and that totally makes sense and tracks with sister location. He doesn't acknowledge it, like, ever.
flowing ideas. And
What does he say?
with. But, you know, whenever I'm making these games, there are a lot of things that are in my head that are just flowing ideas. And when I have them and put them there, it's the first half of something. It's like a string or a rope just like reaching out. And I know that what's there on the other end is there. I trust that it's there. I know that it's there. And then whenever I progress forward, the rest of that just reappears. The rest of it appears and just fits into place perfectly. That's how all my games have been made. I feel that there is something there, and I make the roads to get there for that to be revealed.
Except some of these ropes got cut, burned, twisted and knotted, frayed and split into multiple ends. Yeah, I mean, this is why Scott Cawthon's word shouldn't be 100% taken as, like, fact for solving the lore. Same with looking at the game files, like I said earlier, but people have been so fixated on that for so long, you can't hold a conversation with people anymore, because they prioritize these details over the actual experience of what is in the game. And obviously interpretation's a factor, and misinterpretation. Like, I fully believed in Mike Trap for a while, the idea that Michael Afton is Springtrap, which is an easy enough mistake to make, but that was clearly debunked in the next game, so problem solved. It's not the same. It's not the same.
But then sometimes when things do progress, the roads aren't always the same roads as the ones that had been planned before. And so what that means is, even though at the time something was definitely there, something was definitely reaching out to be there, and I could feel that it was there, the progression of the story didn't go there. And so those strings never got pulled on, and those and the other half of that idea remained in the ether, remained in my subconscious. All of that to say, there is something in the box, but I never pursued it, and I don't know if I can find it again.
Wait! He doesn't remember? No.
Box, but I never pursued it, and I don't know if I can find it again. And I think that that's the best answer that I can possibly give for that.
That's so funny. He doesn't even know. He had half of an idea. The first half was the mystery box. Some things are best left forgotten. The second half, it's been too long, guys. He straight up, it never manifested the way his ideas normally do. That's so strange. So does it, because here's the thing I've always thought as well. There is no way Scott Cawthon has ever meticulously kept notes on the lore in the way theorists have, which means I think, like he definitely stopped keeping things tight after UCN, but I definitely think, like, there are FNAF fans who have a better grasp of the story than he does, because he's not a detail-oriented person the same way a lot of these theorists are. It's really strange, but it's like the author is not the authority on his own story in a lot of cases. I've never, like, thought of it that way, but it's like the author is not an omnipotent, all-knowing being when it comes to the FNAF lore. Which is why the FNAF lore is whatever you want it to be, because we, the fans, are doing most of the writing these days. But, it's just a theory.
Scott, thank you so much for the interview. Myself and everybody really does appreciate it.
I really do.
We're looking forward to the future. We're looking forward to this week. Future me is probably stressing out, playing all the demos and getting ready for Into the Pit in a few days. I'm so excited for Into the Pit. I really, really am. And all the fanverse stuff as well.
Yeah.
My Pop Goes and The Joy of Creation, that demo. I'm looking forward to playing all of those as well and reading the new book. There's a lot in that week. I'm going to just be MIA that whole week. I've already told my friends.
This was the plan for me, but I'm only MIA for 2 days. It's all I can spare.
Family, like, I'm not going to be here for the whole week.
It's enough time,
Don't call
though.
me. Don't text me. I'm going to be in this room just doing everything I can that week. And yeah, we really do appreciate it. So yeah, I think that's it. Which is really weird. That hour went so quick. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Without you guys watching the channel, you know, I wouldn't be doing this in the first place.
Literally the exact same. I'm a YouTuber.
So it really does mean a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dorko.
And yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic
done it without you.
10-year anniversary week. And you're all enjoying yourselves, playing the demos and reading the books and stuff, and are excited for Into the Pit. And Steel Wars announcement as well. That's so exciting. But yeah, thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. So yeah, we'll both leave now.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me, Docco. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Scott. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was brilliant. I'm going to wrap this up now. So, massive shout out to Dorko. Not that he needs a shout out from me, but obviously huge props to Dorko for hosting and facilitating this whole thing. I don't really watch his content that much. I'm not even subscribed. Like, I'm not sure if I ever was. I've sort of watched his stuff on and off over the years, but like, did great with this interview. Like, really good of him to be the one hosting this, because he's been a consistent, you know, kind of face, I guess, for the FNAF fandom. Someone that people can kind of turn to for news and Let's Plays. It's been really good. And yeah, I should probably watch some of this. He's played 5 laps. Did he get early access? Or is that just a reaction? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, guys. The thing is, it's like, even without the drama and all the things I don't like about FNAF kind of tainting my enjoyment of it to some extent, even kind of my struggle to interact with the fan base, you know, because of everything that's happened. It's like, I'm growing up, and obviously things just change as you get older. And I think one of the things for me that is changing about my life and my priorities and the way things are shifting with FNAF is just that, like, when I was younger, when I was a kid, a teenager, really, because from 2014 to 2019, I was age 12, 13 to 17, 18. You know, that time of my life, I had more time to spare I had the privilege of more time and energy to invest into this franchise and get really deep into it. And it obviously had a unique charm, but then FNAF changed. And I think regardless of what was going on in my life, this was going to happen anyway. But it did coincide with changes to my life and gradual, slow changes. I'm at the point now where I think, like, I need to make peace with kind of what's happened, because there are things about this franchise which really bothered me for a while, like a few months. And I kind of got over that because, you know, it's not entirely just because of the franchise changing. I'm changing too as a person. But I guess what I'm saying is that, like, I'm content now to have this new relationship, I guess, with the franchise, where instead of it being like a constant thing in my life that is overwhelming and all-consuming, it's something I can visit sparingly when, as an adult with part-time degree and a part-time job and a full-time life as an adult ahead of me, you know, I can kind of enjoy it more deeply when I'm not constantly coming back to it, because the less time I spend on FNAF, the more special the time I spend on it is. Its quality, its value, and I think that's what I want with FNAF, and probably other things as well. FNAF is just the most obvious one of the lot when it comes to all my, like, kind of online, I guess, fandoms, franchises, media, that kind of thing. But yeah, it hits much harder when you're not constantly dwelling on all the negativity and all the feelings of hurt and frustration and rage that, you know, being online for too long does to you. I mean, this could apply to things more broadly, but, you know, despite everything that's been going on, I've been extremely impressed with the Joy of Creation demo, and it seems like Scott Cawthon, at the end of the day, is just a bit of an idiot. He's really not a malicious person. I don't think he's ever really been malicious. The nastiest thing he's ever said or done that I can think of was that fake retirement post. And when you consider that he was getting, you know, doxxed and harassed online with death threats regarding his family, like, man, who can blame the guy for being slightly more terse than usual? Like, that was a very shit scenario. And I think a lot of the problems of FNAF just come back to all the shit people and the degenerates who occupy this fan base. It's obviously not the majority, but it goes hand in hand. I mean, if I had a penny for every pedophile or bully or whatever that has plagued not only, you know, the fan base, but also the fanverse and, like, official, like, projects, and, you know, remember Aftonville, all the stuff that went on with the pair, the fucking, I mean, Jonochrome, looking back at Flumpty 3 and Jonochrome now, that was like best case scenario. That was as good as it could have been. I have absolutely nothing against Jonochrome now. That was so peacefully and calmly resolved, and people were making a big deal with that with absolutely no idea what shitstorm was going to come for the next, like, 9 months. It was, ugh. But, you know, that's all in the past now. Like, we got to move on, and I think, although I'm never going to be wholly interested in all of FNAF as I once was, it's like Marvel or Star Wars. It's such a big thing now. You're not supposed to consume all of it. Maybe you can if you're crazy. But it's more like a pick and choose, because there's something for everyone. It's capable of more, so it's appealing to a wider audience, so there's a variety, and there's going to be certain preferences within that. I'm never going to be a fan of everything FNAF is ever again. That was lost as soon as Security Breach happened. Maybe earlier, but I think there's specific and particular projects that I'm interested in, and I'm definitely going to enjoy. And I'm gonna visit sparingly and really make the most of it, because I think those are exciting and worth checking out. I want to give the fanverse a chance again. I want to give the movies a chance, and I want to give Steel's Mimic game a chance, honestly, because from what I've seen, Help Wanted 2 has been better on the gameplay side of things. I really could not care less about the Ruin, but apparently it's an improvement, which is not really saying anything. But, you know, maybe their next game will be good. It's because they must have learned from their mistakes. And there are a lot of things going on, though, the whole Security Breach situation, you know, peer pressure from, like, Sony to publish, you know, COVID, Scott Cawthon just being a horrible, terrible, incompetent manager. Like, these things happen, and I want to be filled with confidence, but also, you know, there's not an ounce of that childish naivety left in me anymore. Like, I look at these things for what they are, and I understand them, you know, realistically. I'm not going to be swayed by hype or nostalgia anymore. So, yeah, to this, I think I'm just really glad, honestly, that this wasn't the trite, pathetic nothing burger that I kind of expected it would be. Like, I said at the beginning, like, I thought this would be crap, but actually, this was pretty good. Like, we got honesty, integrity, a lot of interesting and informative answers. Dorko, again, was excellent. Like, you know, I'm not saying he should have dredged up all the drama, but I think there was honestly enough, maybe, kind of acknowledgement of you know, that things went wrong. Like, no, he didn't talk about the fanverse at all. He sort of vaguely mentioned, I think, certain things not panning out. But the one thing he did focus on for a little bit, kind of, it was very soft. Like, yeah, Scott Cawthon dodged, I think, a few hard topics, but also it's not worth dwelling on that. I get it. It's an anniversary video that a lot of kids are going to watch as well. But, I don't know. I feel a little more optimistic because, like, we're getting a bit of actual communication with the guy. And it's just, the problem is this. Why do we have to wait 5 years for Dorko to interview this guy to get any kind of understanding of the process behind the scenes? Why can't we have proper communication like we used to? Or a new structure with a new news feed and perhaps other people than Scott Cawthon who can kind of speak on behalf of things happening and just, like, be honest with us about, like, what's going on, instead of people having to rely on hearsay and, you know, information from fans and unreliable sources and, like, random Twitter and pages and Discord servers and YouTube channels. It's ridiculous. I mean, I shouldn't have to go to Ambience to watch a video essay on what happened to FNAF Plus. Instead, it's just kind of been swept under the rug officially. And it's like, well, it's been too long now, so I guess that's not going to change. But the fact that he said this year he finally realised that he needs to restructure communication and a news source, I don't know, that makes me feel a little hope for FNAF, because it has been in a really dire situation for the last few years. But the thing is, the worse things get, the more likely they are to get better, right? So, yeah, I've waffled long enough. I'm done. If someone has actually sat through and listened to all of this, what the hell are you doing with your time? Surely there are better things to be doing. Or do like a Ferris Bueller, like, post-credit scene, like, what are you still doing here? It's over. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's my honest thoughts and reactions to the new Scott Cawthon interview. Acknowledgement of all the news up to this point. On August 7th, which this might be released on because it's almost 11 o'clock now, so depending on your time zone, this might be coming out for you on August 7th. So today, I will be live streaming My Pop Goes Premium, VIP, and 5 Laps at Freddy's. I think I'm going to be doing all that in the stream. I'm going to be kind of covering news. And then on August 8th, on the day itself, I will be streaming Into the Pit and revisiting Five Nights at Freddy's 1, the game that started it all, with a special twist. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. And if you haven't already, I'd recommend joining the Discord server. It will be linked in the description or on my channel banner, the About page. They've changed it. I don't think they do YouTube UI. But anyway, I'm going to stop before I go on another tangent. Don't miss the next 2 streams, and definitely make sure you're on the Discord server on August 8th, because I've got something in store for you guys which you're not going to want to miss. So thank you so much for watching. I feel like I should do a different outro. This is Mr. Matt signing out. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna edit this and render this now and just get this out about midnight, I guess. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. And as always, stay hydrated. There's nothing left. Can we refill it? Yeah, stay hydrated.